My name is Adam Levinsky, and I'm the interim director of the Columbia Masters in Real Estate Development program. And I'm also an associate professor of professional practice with the program. And really pleased to have you on board today. I'm looking forward to taking you through an introduction to the program. I will talk for about 20 minutes and then I'll pass it along to my colleague Rebecca. And when she presents, she'll properly introduce herself as well. So again, please hold, if you don't mind holding your questions. We're going to have we're going to have a bit of presentation now as soon as I can figure out how to advance the slides. And then we'll open up for questions. So here you have a view of Avery Hall. If you come to Columbia, you will be spending a lot of time in this building. This is the main building for the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation, and where the real estate program is housed. So I want to take you through a bit of an overview of the program and its history, and then really just diving in, why you're all here is to consider Columbia's real estate program. And so I'll run through some of the reasons what makes us unique. And then I'll turn it over, well, through that presentation, I'll turn it over to Rebecca and she'll talk a little bit more about our alumni, about what the typical real estate cohort looks like, and then into career development and admissions issues. So again, Avery Hall, which is the real house for the whole graduate school, and it's just important to know before I dive in to talk about the real estate program that you're really part of a broader ecosystem here, which includes architecture, architectural design, advanced degrees, urban planning, urban design, historic preservation. We have a computational design program now, as well as a curatorial program. So we really encourage students to get to know all of the broader programs across the graduate school. And then, of course, you're part of a wider Columbia University network, which has so much to offer in terms of other schools like the business school that you may interact with and take courses at, but also events and libraries and a broader alumni network. And then finally, you're within New York City, and that's a core part of our program. You'd be involved with getting out to wider industry events. There's a huge amount of networking and site visits that are part of our course. And so just to provide an initial overview, this is a holistic real estate development program. You can see in the photo here, people are building an architectural model. Probably those folks have not done that before. So we really embrace the fact that we are within an architecture school and we're looking at all dimensions of real estate development from the finance and investment components through to the design and production and program management aspects of things. This is a three-semester program. It begins in May. There's a summer semester, a fall semester, and a spring semester. So a little bit of a history of our program. The graduate school itself has been housed within Avery Hall for almost 150 years now. One of the oldest architecture schools in the country. And then about a century later, 1985, the real estate development program was established. That also makes it one of the oldest programs in the country. And as you'll figure out, we're now in our 40th year of the real estate development program. That program's grown over time. Just over 20 years ago, it was about half the size we are now. There were 65 students. And as more and more students graduated, the alumni network really started to take shape. And so the first organized alumni group was formed in 2008. And then the program, as it grew, it used to have a thesis component, but actually what we've turned to for the last 10 or so years is a kind of capstone course. I'll talk more about that, but that's really the culminating course in the spring semester of the real estate development program. And then just over 3 years ago, we had a much more organized and mature alumni network group established that has its own identity separate from Columbia University. MSRED Alumni Inc. Rebecca will talk a little bit more about them, but they create a very powerful tool for alumni to stay connected and to work together once they've graduated. And so, if you look at the broader graduate school where we are today, there are just around 800 students with 8 different programs. And the MSRED program, when you include students who are doing a dual degree in real estate and architecture or planning, we are 150 students this year. So, really diverse, fascinating cohort of students that, again, we'll describe more as we go. And so today we have about 3,000 active alumni in our network. That network is worldwide. You could go to any city across the globe and you will have a real estate development contact from Columbia University there. So many of you have been working in real estate, I'd gather, but some of you are new to considering the field of real estate development. And just, to understand the significance of real estate development today, there is just an immense amount of both growth that's occurring in the world and then also replacing a lot of the built fabric that we have in cities and places across the world. And so in the next 25 years, we're expecting the global building floor area to double. So that's a significant change and impact to the world. And so figuring out how to do that well. So our cities and places are dynamic, they're operating well, places are affordable to live, and they are healthy to live in. That's an incredible challenge. And so we really want to embrace the needs of a changing world. And as we dig into our program, you'll find that New York City is really a lens for how we think about real estate development. It's such a mature real estate market here. The regulations, the design, the financing of projects is so complex that it's a great place to start your work. And so you'll find, especially in the summer and the fall semesters, that there's a real focus on New York City. And then we start to have electives and then courses in the spring, which really broaden that out to the wider world. So hopefully you're really clear on why you want to do real estate development. And so now I want to talk about, well, why would you want to do that at Columbia? And so we've really called out 5 key reasons for doing that. First, that immersion into New York City. Second, what's special about our teaching and our pedagogical approach? Third, who are our faculty? We have such a diverse set of faculty. We're able to pull from people who are working in New York City, which is an incredible network of people. Fourth, the power of our alumni network. And then fifth, our cohort itself, the students who come here, form such a strong network. So let's talk about New York City. And this is a view from within Hudson Yards. Uh, it's amazing how much access we have to emerging projects in New York City. We use New York for drawing faculty, for obviously job opportunities, for internships, for research. It plays such a strong role within the program. There, in addition to the coursework, there's an immense number of clubs that students self-organize, and that includes a lot of site visits to projects throughout New York. And then in addition, we have an annual conference. And this conference has been changing over time, but usually has thematic focus that will draw from real estate and design and planning expertise from across the city and across the world. This is the conference from 2023. This is a photo from this year's conference. We had mayors from other cities. We had real estate leaders from Miami, and then we had amazing people from New York City as well. This panel was moderated by one of our faculty, Kate Asher, who I will talk about a little bit later. So in addition to the role that New York City plays, we really pride ourselves on a pedagogy that provides an incredibly holistic education within real estate. Very different than going to a business school program where real estate may focus on an aspect of finance. Here, you're going to gain skills in the financial, physical, legal aspects of real estate development. We will talk about policy. We'll talk about the key stakeholders. We will use a number of real life case studies to learn that work. And so we like to talk about four key aspects of how real estate development engages with the world. The first is really the social side of things, the community impact of real estate, thinking about real estate as something that provides mutual benefits and requires a key approach to local engagement. How do you work with people on the ground? And then the physical aspects of real estate development. If you come to the program, you would have my class, which is site planning in the first semester, where you really start to understand the impact of ground conditions. How does infrastructure make a key difference for projects? How does design not just have a clear cost associated with it, but open up key opportunities? We really like to see design as something that can make or break a development. And then finally, design has a key aspect in terms of its relationship to climate change and the environment. The financial piece is critical to the program. You will have an immense amount of financial coursework. We have Finance 1, 2, and 3 across all 3 semesters, underwriting, lease analysis, development process. All of those courses will undertake market analysis. We'll look at how investment is structured and deals are structured, and clearly looking at the supply and demand issues related to different asset classes. And then, of course, we want to look at how things are delivered. So we're really looking actively at property law, looking at policies that are shaping development. And we don't look at policy as a kind of red tape or obstacle. We actually look at policy as an opportunity. How can we achieve our goals through the policy that exists today? And then, of course, thinking about project management, we have a required construction management class as part of this course. And those courses are carefully structured over a 3 semester experience. That first semester, when you come in, it's quite intense, but we focus on the core concepts, the basics of finance, of policy, of site planning and design, of market analysis, and legal principles. And we also want to make sure you're getting to know New York City and getting to know each other. So a class like mine in site planning, students are getting out into the city to look at sites. Assignments may require going to a particular site and having a logbook that looks at key aspects of that development. In the second semester, you wind up really synthesizing what you've learned in the summer. How do you bring those things together in a development process where you're both designing a development and structuring a deal for that development? And so the second semester is really a kind of synthesis, and then you're getting much more exposure to people working in New York City and elsewhere. Rebecca has an amazing series of guest speakers who will come in every week. And finally, that spring semester, your final semester, you start to have a lot more space for exploration. We have a capstone project where you'll choose from 8 to 9 different project types. You'll have a sponsor who's working out in the real estate industry as well as a class that focuses you. And you'll have a very wide range of electives that you can take. And then, of course, there are internship possibilities as well, and you can take those internships for credit too. And then, in addition to the core classes, we have an incredible array of electives. We have a number of classes that are starting to dig into the use of AI in terms of real estate, data analytics, sustainability, adaptive reuse, REITs, all the way through to looking at public-private partnerships and prop tech classes. And again, you will hear us speak more and more about the interdisciplinarity of our program and at GSAP as a whole. The three programs highlighted here are all have dual degree students who are doing both real estate development degrees simultaneously with architecture or historic preservation or urban planning. Right now, there are 38 dual degree students, 25 that have just come in this year, and then another 13 or so who are finishing up their degrees in their other programs. So just to give you some samples of our work, this is a series of images I'll show you from our capstone projects, where again, you'll be looking at both the physical design of sites and then the deal structuring associated with sites. This was TOD, transportation oriented development, looking at a new station that will be up in the Bronx and thinking about how development could shape the area around that new station. And that design comes with a very intensive approach to setting up a pro forma that's associated with any proposed development. And this was from a development site in the Bronx, sorry, in Brooklyn, a former brownfield site. And again, looking at both the financing of the site, in this case, the sustainable design of the site, looking at open space, and looking at the zoning regulations. Very, very complete set of work that is really excellent for bringing out into job interviews and being able to show, demonstrate what you've learned throughout the year. And so I've talked about two of the key aspects of our program, the immersion in New York City, the pedagogy, and now I want to talk about the faculty. We have an incredible number of faculty who are Columbia Real Estate Development alumni. That number right now shows 40%. I think it might be a little bit higher. But in essence, people want to give back to the program. People understand the program. And so it's very compelling to bring alumni who become really strong professionals back into the program to teach. The instructors are industry connected. They bring in current knowledge. We don't hire just the people who have been CEOs. We also like to hire people who are 8, 10 years into their career and really at the cutting edge of what's happening now. So in addition to all of our adjuncts, there are 4 full-time faculty. I'm one of them, and I'll give a little bit of my background in a moment. We have Professor Kate Asher. Professor Asher's been with the program for about 15 years now. Professor King, who has her own development practice, and Professor Munsell, who leads the finance courses. So just a little bit about my background. I actually trained as an architect at Columbia more than 20 years ago, and then did a PhD in urban planning. And I have a practice in New York City called WXY, and our work is really at the front end of a lot of major public-private partnership developments in the city. One of the developments I'm working on now is a 120-acre master plan called Brooklyn Marine Terminal. It's a generational project on the Brooklyn waterfront. Very complex, a lot of politics, but those are the kinds of projects that I wind up setting up with the public sector, often with collaboration with private landowners for big change within the city. And so my focus is primarily on master planning and what I would call pre-development entitlement processes, making sure areas can get rezoned for greater density and different kinds of uses. And the main core classes I teach are the site planning class in the summer and the capstone class in the spring. Professor Asher has both public and private sector experience. She's worked at Vornado, which is one of the largest private development property owners in New York City. She wrote a fantastic book called The Works. I encourage you to check it out. It's really all about the infrastructure that cities require. She teaches, and this changes some, but a policy class called the Political Environment of Development, and sometimes she teaches development process. Professor King, again, has her own development firm, which is primarily based in projects in New Jersey and Detroit, Michigan. She teaches the development process class and also teaches capstone with me. And then finally, we have Professor Munsell, and he teaches Finance 2 and 3 and the underwriting class. And he's got a lot of research ongoing into the use of AI in real estate. And we also have a staff of 3 people who really keep the program running, and they're all on board today, Rebecca, Heron, Thelma, and I'll briefly introduce each of them, and then I'm going to turn over to Rebecca. So Rebecca, I'm very grateful to work with Rebecca Anderson Palamida. She's our Associate Director of Student Engagement and Professional Development and has been working in the arena of career development with real estate students for many, many years. So brings an incredible array of connections within the real estate industry. So very fortunate to have her, and her role extends to leading networking opportunities, running a mentorship program, which you'll hear more about, and aligning the internship program for the students. Harasu has been with us for almost exactly 1 year now, but has many, many years working within higher education and also has an MBA. And Rebecca is the Associate Director of Academic Affairs, so is heavily involved in structuring the curriculum and engaging with the faculty and also working on student affairs and the program's accreditation. And then we have Thelma Collado. Thelma's an assistant director, also has an MBA, and has been with the program for about 4 years now and has been in higher ed for many, many years. And Thelma's really the critical contact for managing the student clubs and student programs and managing the software programs and platforms that if you come here, you will want to be exposed to because that's really how you're learning to engage within the industry. And our fourth area that we really focused on is the alumni network. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Rebecca. And Rebecca, I'm happy to keep forwarding the slides for you, or unless you want to.
I have it up. I have it up. I want to see if I can share my screen so you don't have to, I don't have to keep saying next slide. Okay, so Adam, as the director of the MSRED program, has been, his focus so far in the presentation has been about faculty, coursework, what it's like to be a student. I kind of want to focus on what he talked about earlier about the immersion, the pedagogy, the faculty, and the alumni network, right? So we are have a very, very, very robust alumni network at Columbia MSRED. Just he had mentioned previously, we have about 3,000 MSRED alumni. Not only do we speak and talk to alumni on a daily basis, but it's immersed in events that happen throughout the year that we'll talk about in a little bit. I just want to talk about the MSRED Alumni Inc., which is a nonprofit that got started about 3 years ago that's been growing, that is just an alumni network just for you. So not only do you have the Columbia Alumni Association, but you also have this special group that focuses on events and networking and jobs for when after you graduate. So it's become very, very strong. They even have the MSRED Student Awards that they do every year. So that's fun. We usually have a party in around Christmas time where these awards come out. They also helped sponsor the Capstone Awards this year for the capstone presentations, which was pretty cool. So just focus, just think about, if you're thinking about other programs, I'm going to tell you why the Columbia program is the strongest. And Just to give you a little bit more background, I have been with the MSRED program for 10 years, but prior to that, I was also working at the NYU SHAC program. So I understand how that program works. So if anybody has any questions or, if you want me to talk about that in a little bit, I can do that. This is giving you a snapshot of where the alumni are. This is from the MSRED alumni.org and only focuses on the members currently, but just gives you a snapshot of, where our alumni are from. And just like Adam had said earlier, there's no city or country that hasn't been touched by one of our students. So it's pretty awesome. Um, our cohort, the wonderful thing that we have compared to other programs, real estate programs, is that you are a full-time student in real estate. You are eating, sleeping, and breathing real estate. So it's full-time intensive schedule. It's a lot. It's 45 credits, 3 semesters, but you are here for a passion or trying to find your passion. Right now, we do have 150 students in this cohort. There's a lot of peer-to-peer learning. You will make friendships that you will have forever. You will create business partners. There's people who will do entrepreneurial endeavors after this program is over. I always say that, human capital is the best capital, and you have a cohort of everybody who's even if they're going in different trajectories, you are all here together, learning together. And then we also have a lot of cross-program case study competitions with other schools, whether it's NYU, MIT, the business school, Cornell. So we have a lot of cross-program collaboration with other real estate programs. We have tons of site visits that students put on, site visits that professors put on. This is just a trip to Governor's Island that Professor Levinsky took them to a couple of summers ago, and I thought it was a cool picture. There he is right there in front of the class in that orange shirt, doing great study trips. This is a trip to Long Island City. This is the current class that we have now. So you can see everybody's getting together. They're having a good time. People and alumni say that this is the best year of their life. And I just was talking to a recent alum. They're like, it was the best year of my life, and I miss it desperately because of the friendships that you will foster while you are here. There's tons of social events. There's social events that that FEMA actually sends out in a weekly newsletter to let you know what's happening in the city. Then there's social events. We have the student council as a social chair. So there's always something happening. There's always something going on. And if you want to partake in it, great. And if you don't, that's okay. But the opportunities are always there to explore the city. This is the current student council for the class of 2026. Every year we have a student council, which encapsulates a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, and a social chair who's helping with those social events. They have been amazing this year. We also have lots of group projects. So it's not only the capstone, which is the culminating project, but you have projects within some of the group projects in each of some of the courses, whether it's core or electives. So there is group work involved, which I think is also great because, somebody may be really good at the architecture and design piece. Somebody may be really, have experience in the finance piece. So it's bringing people from different backgrounds together to these projects. Like I mentioned earlier, there's cross school collaborations throughout the year. We have a coming to terms event, which is an all-day negotiation event that happens with the Columbia Business School, MIT, and NYU and Cornell, where students do a case study and then they have to present in front of a group of people. And it's kind of like, the best case study wins. So it's kind of like a cool competition between the schools. There's an annual real estate summit at the Columbia Business School, which is kind of like, it's not like ours, but it's kind of like our industry conference that we have every year. Sorry for my cough. Global travel. So we have study trips that happen in the springtime. Those study trips have we've gone to China, we've gone to Hong Kong, we've gone to Brazil, we've gone to London, we've gone to Paris, we've gone so many places. And then we've done not only global travel trips, but there's also trips that we have done domestically within the United States. Like last weekend, there was a trip of there was 15 students who wanted to go to Charleston and kind of in Charleston, South Carolina. And we helped put together a little agenda for them to meet some alumni out there and do some site tours. So there's students who are planning trips over the winter break in other countries. In Vietnam, for instance, is one of them. So the ability to travel along with this intense coursework does happen, which is fun. This is to the group. There's Adam in the front. This is the group trip to China last year. This is another picture of that. Look, I can see, and you know what I love is I can pick out all these students. There's John, there's Tom, there's Jay. So we're very, very close with the students in the cohort every year. This is an example of the lecture series. So what I do is I do a fall lecture series and a spring lecture series to kind of bring people in to give you guys different experiences of what you're thinking based on career trajectories. So it could be an alumni that comes in and talks about their career trajectory, or it could be an industry professional that talks about, a different asset class or a different type of real estate a real estate company or organization. So it gives you that a weekly, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to learn this week for somebody who is on the outside, not just the faculty. And then also faculty also bring in their own speakers from the industry as well. So there's constant engagement with the industry, which also thinks sets us apart. We also have a women in real estate. We have plenty of clubs, which I'll show you in a second, but we also have a women in real estate development conference as well that happens in the springtime, that we collaborate with the business school and their real estate program, which is really neat. So we've already started planning that. Here's another construction site tour. This is of One Times Square. They're obviously standing underneath the ball. How many people have seen the New Year's Eve rockin' New Year's Eve in New York City? Anybody? Yep. Okay. Ferris smiles. Okay. I like you said. There we go. Braden. Absolutely. So they're standing underneath the ball. These are some of the MS-RED led clubs that students have created, which I think is amazing. If you have a club idea and you feel like you're a leader and you can put it together and start, bringing people in, taking people to sites, it's what you make of it. So like we obviously have the Future Entrepreneurs Club. So students who feel like they want to be entrepreneurs after the program, which happens all the time. There's people who like just want to do private equity. So they want to have a club that focuses on that, or hotel and hospitality. So it's not only the like clubs, but we have the intramural sports. We've had football, we've had basketball teams, volleyball teams, we've had a boxing club, a running club. So there's lots of things and activities that you can do in addition to the clubs. We also have case study competitions that we have throughout the year, whether it's with the Urban Land Institute or Hines or the University of Miami. So there's ways that you can do extra case studies and extra work with a team, that is helpful on your resume. And like I said before, we do a lot of cross-school programming and social events. So the career development piece is me. Like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years at Columbia and 3 years prior to that, and having worked in higher ed for 20 plus years. So my foci, I guess you could say, is really making sure that you guys know what you want to do, why you want to do it, and who you want to do it for. What's your reason coming to this program, and what's your story going to be after leaving the program? So it's very important to me to get to know you all individually about what you want to do and why you want to do it. So we have an immense amount of programming. We have a spring internship program, which allows you to get credit during that final semester. So you get to work at least 2 or 3 days a week. Whether you're transitioning, maybe you're an architect who wants to transition to finance and you want to have a finance internship, or vice versa, or you are a finance person and you want to, touch the development side and you kind of want to be more on site. So we have opportunities for you to do that, because the curriculum is a little bit lighter as far as those core courses in the spring, and we make sure the schedule works out so that you are able to work 2 or 3 days a week. You do not have to have an internship, but we do provide opportunities for you to participate in one. We also have a mentorship program where you get paired with an alumni mentor for the year, which is kind of cool. So once I get to know everybody and I know like what Braden wants, look what Daniela wants, or what Farah wants, I try to bridge and create a relationship, whether it's a friendship and or mentorship. So we have that program. We have information sessions when employers come on site. We have a job board that is just for GSAP. So it's just postings just for the school. So whether it's the MARC program or the real estate program or the urban planning program, you actually have a job board. It's kind of like our internal LinkedIn for GSAP, which is kind of cool. We have plenty of industry panels and lectures like we talked about before. You have your very own career fair that you do not share with anybody else. So it is employers coming in just seeking Masters of Science in Real Estate folks which is really cool. So we have that every springtime, and then we distribute a resume book that not only will go to all alumni, but will go to all of our industry contacts. So it's not we're constantly trying to promote the program and to promote our students and keep the Columbia reputation very, very strong in the field. These are some of the things that you will learn and from me in throughout the year, which I think is important. I'm very big on professional etiquette. I will help you with your resumes and cover letters, how to do the job search in real estate, leveraging LinkedIn, which is a very big social media platform that for real estate. That'll be a huge way for you guys to connect to a bunch of people, whether it's industry or alumni. Salary negotiation, informational interviewing, all the skills that you need to get the job that you want after this program. This is just a snapshot. I usually do like a year before, but I wanted to give you guys a snapshot of the students who just graduated 5 months ago. We usually do like a 6 month out, a year out, and so on. So right now you can see we have 10 students from last class who are still searching. It is a tough market right now, but within 6 months, 90% of our students have jobs, and it can't be 100% because one, I don't meet with every student. They don't utilize my services, right? So I don't, or they don't fill the survey and I don't know where they go. So, it's obviously there's going to be a proportion that I don't know, but the biggest proportion right now has been the finance route after, followed by development, and then followed by entrepreneurship and family business. Um, these are examples of what those finance roles are like. So we have students who have 0 to 3 years of experience, or 3 to 5 years, or maybe even 5 to 7 years of experience. So a lot of our students either start on that analyst or that associate level when they're coming through the program, but we do have people who end up being assistant vice presidents or vice presidents and so on. But the crux of our finance roles are between analyst and associate. This gives you a snapshot of what the different types of job title examples would be for development. So we have people who want to get into the development side. So you see that project manager role. The development analyst associate role is very is popular, as well as the assistant project manager. Um, it's rare that students will do a purely construction role. They will do some sort of hybrid finance and development role, or they will do some design development role. So if they're an architect and they come to the program and want to be a developer, but they still like that design piece and they still like the architecture piece, they will find like an owner operator where they were able to do both of those skills. These are just this is a very, very, very small snapshot of the different companies that consistently hire from the MSRED program. So it could be a bank, it could be a fully integrated developer, it could be an asset manager, it could be private equity, it could be somebody who we have people who go into REITs, it could be a boutique hospitality company. So it's all over the map. So pretty much if there's an employer out there, one of our alumni are either sitting in a chair there or have sat in a chair there. So we have great connections with companies in the New York City area, domestically and also globally. I do want to remind everybody that there is an admissions piece in a virtual admissions open house after this, that they're telling, the admissions office is encouraging for you to attend. I can briefly go over the admissions, but after this call is over, at 10 o'clock, there is another virtual open admissions questions and answers if you guys have that. So applications are technically open. They open September 15th. The deadline to apply is around January 15th, okay, with decisions being made probably sometime in March. So you have to hold obviously an undergraduate degree or a graduate degree. There's a $75 application fee. You have to submit 3 letters of recommendation, and that could be like holistically, that could be an employer, that could be a prior professor. You have to do a personal statement that's no more than 500 words and tell us why that you want to come to the Columbia MSRED program, what it means to you, what does real estate mean to you. You have to submit your transcript from each university. You have to submit a resume. Our GRE GMAT scores are optional. You can submit them, but you do not have to. You will have to take an English proficiency exam if English is not your first language. And then If you do want to become a dual degree, you will just have to see the website for approved programs, which Adam had touched upon, which is basically historical preservation, urban planning, and the Masters of Architecture. So you can check the status of your application after submission by logging into the account. But this basically is a snapshot of everything you need to apply. Um, the shared ethos that we have. Look, this is Jesse. Look, this is Trion. This is Sydney. So this is the current students, and then Anika. I know some of you probably have talked to her. Um, the professional competency that I just want to tell you that this program gives you the ability to practically apply what you're learning in class in a real world setting right away. You will learn everything and every piece of the built environment to do what you want to do when you leave here. Whether that trajectory is finance, whether it's design and development, you will find that way, and you will learn that. You will learn that through the curriculum here. We pride ourselves on integrity, cooperation, and collegiality. This is a very professional program. You obviously are carrying the reputation of an Ivy League institution, and we take it very seriously, not only with our faculty, but with the industry as a whole. I always say to students, if they decide to come to this program, you're representing yourself, but you're also representing the Columbia brand, which goes very far and very wide. Um, Throughout the industry. People always say like it's crazy the connections in real estate that are made. Somebody's going to know somebody, somebody's going to know somebody else. There's going to be some sort of connection. So the reputation that you hold during the program and after the program means an immense amount to us. Um, we want you to enjoy yourself. Just like I said earlier, this will be the best year of your life. It will be so fun. I'm telling you, like there's, I don't know if anybody went to the open house on Monday, but students will tell you it's everything that you're looking for. So I'm not trying to sell. I would never sell a program that I wouldn't be as supportive of. And I think that Adam has done an amazing job these last two classes, taking the helm as director and making the program something very, very special. And between myself, Hera, and Thelma, we take it very seriously. And, I'm just, if you guys have any questions, I don't know if we want to open it up. Adam, this is our contact information. If you have any questions, there's our email addresses. Reaching out to Anika as a current student. She's actually a dual degree between MARC and MSRED.
Great.
So if you have any other questions right now, I don't know if you want to open it up.